Welcome back to the Life and Listings podcast. I am not your normal host, Clarissa Mcneill. I'm actually the marketing lead at Staats, which is the amazing ops and marketing management company that our special guest, Jennifer Staats, owns. She is normally your host. We are putting her in the hot seat on another episode, and we're so excited that you're here, Jennifer.
Super excited. Yeah, we got a lot of feedback that people kind of wanted to hear from us. So, I mean, I recommend if there are topics that you have questions about or you want more input from us, feel free to DM us or send us an email, marketing@statssolutions.com, and just let us know about some topics you want to hear about. We plan on doing some more just stats topics in the next season.
For sure. And if you have any funny stories you want to feature, you can send those as well.
Oh my gosh.
Alrighty, well, let's dive in. Today, I think we're going to have a really fun conversation that I believe a lot of teams and broker owners and even agents, even solo agents, I think are going to get a lot out of today's conversation. And we're talking about Jennifer's favorite thing, her expertise in systems. So let's talk a little bit about that, Jennifer. When you're looking at the landscape, right, of real estate teams, brokerages, and agents, and really the market in general, you know, we work with a lot of clients who they hire us to set up those systems.
Yeah.
So let's kind of start with, why should we even consider setting up systems? What's the benefit? Why can't I just kind of keep doing things the way I'm doing them?
Yeah. I mean, systems and operations, it sounds so boring, right? Like everyone's like, oh my gosh, sounds so nerdy. Why do I want to do that? I'm a successful agent already, blah, blah, blah. Because there's a couple things. Either you're going to get so busy that you're going to get overwhelmed and everything's in your head, so there's no way you can delegate out. Or B, you have certain expectations for yourself that you want all of these things to happen. And I'm generally going to reference systems as transactional workflows or the transaction system because we're mostly in real estate, but systems can be applied towards many a thing. And I'll kind of touch on that too.
Yeah.
But, you know, you're going to drop things. You told yourself you were going to do these 10 things every time you had a new client. You get busy, you forget 3 of them. 6 months goes by and you're like, man, why do I have no reviews? Oh, because I never created a system and I never requested anybody to leave me a review. And now I've got to backtrack, right? I've got to go back and I've got to re-request it. Now I'm not getting any reviews because at this point something broke in their house and now they're not happy. But that's a system. It's something so simple. It's like a checklist for yourself that can repeat over and over again that you can improve on, and maybe you can automate it. Maybe you can delegate it out. Maybe it's just for you to like hold yourself accountable for how you expect every transaction to run. I mean, it doesn't have to be this 300-person team. It's super, individualized to systems. I mean, for me, for a while, it was like I create a system on something. I'm asking my husband for help on these like 2 different things. Then it turned into hiring, and the 3 different things got delegated to somebody else, or I automated half the things or created templates. So it's all time savings. It's not as nerdy as it sounds.
Yeah. And you might actually enjoy it. Enjoy like the productivity and the efficiency and the profitability, which is a big part of, I think, the effect of a good system. Mm-hmm. And you touched on this a little bit, but can you share a little bit more? What do you feel like makes a good system? So let's say, hey, we're on board with that, but how do I know my system is working or that it's good?
I mean, I always like to say, and I feel like I'm like a broken record, but I'm always like, a system or a workflow is like a living, breathing thing. That first time you go to like write down how you want things to go, it's just a checklist. Like it's just like bullet points on a list somewhere. And then it might evolve into, okay, maybe there's certain steps to achieve each of those bullet points. Then maybe you evolve that into like email templates being drafted for each of those things, so you're not retyping everything out. Then maybe it evolves into an actual system you're putting it in that you can replicate every single time. Then maybe it evolves into delegating it out. I mean, it's an evolving thing. And then the great thing about having it all down on paper is when the market shifts like it is right now, or things change, or you want to add something into how you take listings or transactions, it's very easy to insert in, right? Okay, now I want to start sending them a pizza 7 days before close. If you have a really great system that you know you can replicate, you can go into your template, insert how you're going to send pizza to these people 7 days before close, and it can happen over and over again. So I think a great system isn't necessarily something that's super fancy and techy all the time. It's something that you can easily replicate every single time. So you're treating your business like a business, and every client or agent or whatever is treated the exact same.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you said it doesn't have to be fancy or techy.
Yeah.
I do think, there's a lot of intimidation out there with having, you go to any kind of real estate conference and the booths, half of them are apps and, all these different just gadgets. And I feel like we live in a world of technology, but not necessarily everyone feels totally comfortable trying to dive into that world. I know even for us at Staats, a lot of times when I'm building a marketing system for somebody, or I'm building an SOP, standard operating procedure, which is something we use so much here at Staats.
Yeah.
We try to create that for almost every single recurring task. And a lot of times it's just a Google Doc.
Yeah.
In the beginning, some bullet points, or we use Asana, but if you use some kind of project management system, a lot of times it's just notes and a little description box on there.
Yeah.
And poorly, named task that gets changed, because a lot of times as you start implementing these systems, to your point, it's a living, breathing thing. You're going to find, oh man, I don't have clarity on this step or this step, or this step maybe isn't as replicatable as I thought. It needs to adjust. And I think having that in a place, whether it's just an Apple Note or a Google Doc or something that you can constantly change, especially if you're working with an assistant, a VA, a team, having those documents in a place where everybody can kind of help to give input, I think works well. And so you can get all the apps and do all that. And there's a lot of really great ones out there. But I think if you're not into that, starting with a Google Doc or an Apple Note is a great way to start. So I love that. Speaking of apps and technology, for all of the people listening who are really big into all of that, let's talk a little bit about some of the tools. We have quite a few tools that we use at Staats, but what are some of the ones that you feel like could be applicable to any team, broker, agent?
I always like to go into what tech we're going to use based on their comfort level, right? Like I'm not going to recommend a really robust system if either A, it's not in the budget, or B, I don't think it's actually going to benefit them. Like sometimes I see people looking at tech because they went to a conference or they spoke to someone. I'm like, that's amazing, but the setup is going to be insane and you're not trying to do more transactions this year. So like, I'm not seeing the benefit for that application to your business specifically. Let's look at something different, because I always look at when we're starting with any of these workflows, and I keep saying transactions because that's how most people visualize it, but we create systems on your transaction workflows, your onboarding and offboarding workflows for your agents and your employees, your client workflow, right, in your CRM. There's so many different systems that you are creating to make sure that all works really well. So, I mean, some of the tools that I'm going to recommend to any brokerage or team or agent, we really love Follow Up Boss, obviously, for a CRM. Most people don't think of that operationally, but we really do, systematize people's CRMs also, so their agents know how to use it. The admins know how to use it. Everybody understands what we're all doing in there, so it's easy to track, measure, get people out of there, run events. All of that stuff is really cohesive in their CRM. As far as project management, I mean, we use Monday.com or Asana. Asana is my preference, but a lot of people really like Monday. It's a little bit more robust. And we create it's free in Asana. You can create templates there and replicate every time, and that's free. And it exports right into an Excel. So if you ever need to go into another platform, you can with that. And then some of the transaction systems that we use too are going to be open to close. We also have a lot of clients that use Sisu. They're all very different though, right? So I look at them so individually and figure out like, okay, what are you trying to do? Are you a solo agent? Do you have a team? Are you trying to do a brokerage? What are you trying to track? All of those things. And then I feel like there was one more I was going to mention too, and now I just totally blanked out. So tons of systems. We do have a partners page on our website. You can check out some of the other tech we use too, and peruse through some of the stuff that we recommend or we use. We'll kind of plug on there.
Yeah, it's a great resource. I definitely would plug the website as well. There's a lot of helpful tools on there too, just in the blog section and right here on this podcast. So you listener, you're already ahead of the game. Well, with all these tools and apps, the buzzword everyone's talking about, right, is AI, is technology. Let's talk a little bit about that. I know we've begun to use AI a lot more, particularly on the marketing side. It's been really helpful. But going into 2024, there's a lot happening for anybody in the real estate industry, even real estate investors. Like if you're in any kind of business in the real estate industry, you're feeling that as a TC, as an agent, as anybody involved in that space. So where do you see, the advancement of technology playing out, or what do you see on the horizon specifically for operations and marketing management?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see all of that going in 2024?
Yeah. I mean, I think with the shift and everyone's been a little bit scared and maybe they've sold a little bit less real estate this year, or maybe their business is just changing overall. I think it's more important than ever to make sure that you're looking at your systems. Are they working effectively for you? Is there anything that can be automated? Is there anything that you can use AI for? And I'm not saying let AI write everything or do everything for you, but I think it can be a big time saver. I mean, Clarissa, this was like something that we did too, right? Like I am the worst at copywriting. I can't do it. So I used to give Clarissa bullet points. And then she would help me. She'd be my chat GPT. I'd put the bullet points in. I'd tell her what I'm trying to do. She'd be my Clarissa chat GPT back to me. Clarissa didn't lose her job because we started using AI. Right. We had her do other amazing things. So there's things that you can do within your business too, that it doesn't necessarily mean like budget cuts or cutting people's hours. It's like, okay, what can we do with all of our time as a team to be more effective? And then rather than being my chat GPT Clarissa, she has more FaceTime now with people. She's overlooking what I put in the chat GPT and spitting out. She's like, actually, that's not exactly what we want to say. But it's helpful, right? It's super helpful for me because then we can get things done way more efficient. And rather than cutting things, we're actually doing more. And I think that's where we can all do it going forward, is making sure we're using all the tools we have effectively so we can do more.
Yeah, I think that's so true. Again, going back to, I just hear a lot of people feeling they're intimidated. They're intimidated by AI, they're intimidated by the tools. But again, I think you're bringing up a great point, getting back to the system, getting back to kind of the bones of the back end of your business. And if that's super healthy, then adding on these other things, then you have a little bit more bandwidth where you can try out how you want to utilize AI, or you want to try this app out, or you want to add on this person or that. You can try those things as your systems are healthy. But again, going back to that, I think you're absolutely right. It's like the system is the skeleton of your business, and those systems are in place and they're working well, then your business is healthy. If those are really struggling, then we've talked about this a lot, but the momentum of your business might feel like it's, having some trouble.
Yeah.
So I think systems are a good barometer of how quickly you can scale going into 2024, right? And the state of your business. So I think that's just fantastic. I love that. Well, one last question for you before we go. I know this is a little mini-sode, so to speak, but a lot of people, are a little bit aware of your journey, Jennifer, just going from you being an agent to just helping me, maybe doing some ops assisting. And then now you've got this full-blown company. Staats Solutions has been around for 7 years. And in that time, what do you feel like you would say is something you're most proud of just as your journey of an entrepreneur?
So I would say what I'm most proud of would probably be when I initially set out to start Staats. I didn't know what my goal was, but I knew that my why was I really just wanted to be able to drop my kids off at school in the morning, and I wanted to be able to pick them up. It was really important that I was able to see where they're at and connect with them on each way. And I think the first thing that I'm proud of is I've created a company where I can do that. My kids are involved. I'm able to kind of have that flexibility where I can work. My husband says I lie to myself and say that I work less than I do, because he's like, you actually do work more than 40 hours a week. You saying that you only work 25 hours is a lie. So that might be a little bit of a stretch, but I've created an environment where it's very flexible. And I think that's rolled over. It's been a goal of mine too for our staff at Staats Solutions, that they can also have some flexibility in their lives. If they're moving or having kids or just like want to go to lunch or go work out. I think that's one of the things I'm super proud of, is that I was able to build that for myself, but I was also able to build that for our entire team.
Yeah.
Sometimes we probably say we've created too much flexibility for them, but that's okay. I just think that's so important, because I think a lot of times, like, as we are brought up in this society, we are ingrained that you have to be working this 9-to-5 thing, and you can't have these other passions or things that you like to do and you care about. And I think we should be able to empower our teams to come in early and be able to leave early, right? They could have a little bit of flexibility so they can do the other things. I'm proud to say that, like, our team last week were able to take time off, go to like kindergarten graduation. They're all moving. They're doing all these things. And it didn't affect work at all. Like, they didn't have to take PTO. And I think that's probably like one of the things I'm most proud of, is like being able to create that for other people, not just myself as the business owner.
Yeah, I love that. Well, as a beneficiary of some of that, I am very grateful. So thank you. Well, thanks again, Jennifer. It was super fun getting to put you in the guest seat. So you didn't do too bad as a host.
You did great.
Maybe I will try hosting another episode in the future. But thanks again for listening to the Life and Listings podcast. We'll catch you on the next episode, everybody.
Bye, everybody.